Welcome aboard, cinephiles. I'm Titan. Let's watch fantasy movie The Princess. A princess with red hair and closed eyes is imprisoned in the tower. But after waking up from the coma, the princess can't figure out the situation in front of her. She only remembers before she passed out, surrounded by a crowd. And after hearing the noise outside the door, with nowhere to hide, she could only lie back on the bed and pretend to sleep. Seeing the soldiers who broke into the room prepare to do something to her in desperation, she can only choose to resist. And to the surprise of the enemy, the seemingly weak princess turned out to be very skilled. Although far less tall and powerful than the soldiers in front of her, the princess relied on her flexible skills. She managed to kill one of the soldiers. Seeing this, another soldier rushed to fight back. But the princess dodges left and right and looked for a chance to kick him off the tower. Then the princess who was guarding the door killed the gatekeeper, and after untying the iron chain fastened to her hand, she fled to a seemingly safe room. He saw his family by the window of the room. Who kidnapped them? It was the man Julius who was going to marry her. It turns out that girls in the country of the princess have no right to inherit the throne. So the old king, who trusts others for him, got a marriage. Wedding day. The princess fled the wedding scene because of resistance, and the noble Julius, who was rejected, had a grudge. Seized power in the kingdom. I see someone is about to enter the room, miss. Nowhere to hide, princess. I can only hide in the bathtub. Fortunately, the opponent is a Tauran warrior wearing an iron helmet. He managed to escape because the opponent's line of sight was blocked. The princess who escaped from the room wanted to leave, but he met the Tauran warrior again, and after a fierce fight, the princess ends up using the horns on her helmet. Kill the Tauran warrior. At the same time, the mercenaries found the dead body that fell from the tower. Julius also sent her captain of guards to check on the princess, reprimanded the captain of the guard, then arranged for a fat man to climb up the tower. And the princess ambushed two enemies in the weaving room and got a long sword for self-defense. But the princess soon heard the sound of patrolling soldiers approaching, so she could only throw away the weapon in her hand, hanging on the curtain with difficulty. After the enemy left, the princess climbed back to the corridor again, and using the dark wolf in the castle, she entered the hall full of mercenaries. At this time, all the mercenaries are dividing up the treasure collected by Dao. No one noticed the princess who crept past. In the bedroom, the princess soon got the treasure knife she hid under the mattress. Memories also emerge from the depths of my mind. The princess still remembers that she and the swordsman Ling learning experience. In order to cultivate her, Ling is not only strict with her, he also brought his uncle Kay, the king's strategist, taught her. In addition to various fighting skills, the princess also learned the secret of continuous improvement, and he finally won the approval of the two and got the treasured sword presented by Kai. When using the dark passage to advance, the princess suddenly overheard the plot between Julius and his woman Moira. So he was going to attack the wall first and stabbed Julius with a sword inserted into a crack in the wall. But his plan was soon interrupted by the intrusion of the guards. He can only quickly pull the knife back and wait for the next opportunity to kill the enemy. The fat mercenary on the other side finally climbed to the tower. But he didn't see through the disguise in the room, and he who went downstairs to return to his life also told the captain of the guard and Julius about it. At this time, the princess was suddenly attacked by the knight of the golden helmet. But the princess holding the sword did not flinch. He threw it on the table, glass oil bottle, and with a candle on the side, set fire to the strong man who rushed towards him. And the golden helmet knight, who was burned by the fire, quickly fell from the height, fall to death. Julius, realizing that things have changed, also randomly ordered Captain Wei to deal with this matter. Dissatisfied captain of the guard immediately sends someone to conduct a detailed search of the castle. But he was slapped with insults to Moira, finally killed by the highly skilled Moira. At the same time, a princess trying to escape is found by searching mercenaries and began to deal with the enemy on the stairs of the tower. But there are endless streams of vicious enemies. The princess fighting alone obviously has no chance of winning. Surrounded, he can only do so in desperation. Jumped up the stairs with all my might, although he landed safely. But the enemy who pursued him still made him feel devastated. In desperation to kill the enemy, he can only jump out of the window, and with the help of the Wyman hanging from the facade, fled to a relatively safe room. The princess hiding in the room wanted to simply bandage the wound, but he came across a ghost who was looking for him everywhere. And through the mouth of the spirit, the princess learned of the prince's fall. He also remembered that he wanted to be knighted and finally rejected and scolded by the father. To get to the main building where the royals are held, the two had to go through the kitchen and into the sewer. And after seeing a few mercenaries harassing the cook, the two will work together to bring down all the enemies. It's just that Moira's arrival disrupted their plans. In order to help the princess win time to save lives, Lynn had to stay and keep Moira at bay. And the princess who entered the sewer then successfully reached the prison and rescued the family. But just when he was about to cover his family to leave, the enemy who had been prepared for a long time suddenly stunned him, except the princess's family. The captured spirit was also taken to Juzhou together. In front of Alice, facing the threat of Julius, the princess is still unafraid. But her words completely angered Julius. So the man decided to kill the princess and marry the princess's sister, who is relatively easy to control. And seeing that Julius has no bottom line, the princess met Zero's eyes, and when the enemy is ready to strike, acted ahead of time, following the spirit to lead the little princess into the secret passage. The princess also accidentally fell from the building during the fight, and he who fell into the sea before dying, I remembered the teachings of my master, and finally broke free from the rope and escaped safely. He fled back to the castle. Soon I ran into the enemy who was searching in the secret passage, but with the help of his sister, he managed to escape, and brought Lynn and his sister to the place where he secretly hid, Chamber of Secrets in the castle. In this secret room that he has carefully built over the years, store various weapons and equipment used to kill the enemy, and the three of them are also fully prepared, and decided that before Julius ascended the throne, stop this devil's plot. On the other hand, in order to be able to ascend the throne smoothly, Julius sent someone to search for the whereabouts of the princess, while tying up the royals for the ceremony. And after seeing the princess and Lynn killing the gate, he immediately ordered people to surround the two of them. But the little princess, who wants to help her sister, but sneaked out of the secret room and came to the church. With his help, Master Kai and others broke free from the shackles. But the little princess is also affected by the noise made by the chainmail, spotted by the vigilant Julius. At the same time, the princess killed the church gate, and after seeing her sister in danger, she immediately and Ling speed up the speed of killing the enemy. To avoid the ceremony being interrupted by the princess, Julius motions Moira to stop the princess. And against the villainous Moira, the princess who is eager to save people is not afraid. He carefully avoided the enemy's whip, then hanged Moira again. Since Kay sent the signal, Bint on the run instantly interrupted the ongoing ceremony. The chaotic scene made Julius completely discarded all bottom lines. He first stabbed the king who protected the little princess, then seriously injured the spirit that stopped him. Facing this vicious enemy, the bloody princess is still fearless, but he didn't expect this villain Julius secretly attacked, so he was seriously injured, ended up being Julius's captive. Facing the sword raised by the enemy, the princess who was forced to kneel remembered the teachings of her master and wait for the big moment. And just when Julius was about to kill him, the nobles outside the church looked at him angrily. This made him, who was a guilty conscience, hesitate. Seeing Julius relax, the princess, who kept calm, suddenly hugged and took the sword in an instant, completed the lore, eventually dies with Julius. The power of the kingdom is back in the hands of the old king again, and looking at her daughter, who is doing her best, the old king realized how narrow was my original self. So, he was in front of everyone. A knight's investiture ceremony for the princess, and proudly announced to everyone, "The princess is the next legal heir to the kingdom." Father's approval and family safety made the princess cry with joy, and with the blessing of the master, the princess can finally enjoy. The crowd gave him applause and cheers.